All right, what's going on, everyone? What's going on? So, really quick, if you are new to the channel, my name is Ron Wilkerson. I'm a photographer here in the city of Houston. And tonight, what we're going to be doing is discussing why I may not be posting as much on Twitch anymore. I just feel like Twitch does not have the photography community in mind. Yes, there are a number of photographers on Twitch that are posting on that platform, as well as Adorama and a few others. But at the same time, I just feel like they had an opportunity with a number of photographers and creators to create a category for our type of content. So it doesn't seem like that's something that's going to be happening anytime soon. So I'm going to spend the majority of my time focused on the platforms that I know that support our content, which is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram for what it's worth. Even though Instagram is going more video centric, that's not a problem, because a lot of us we're creating video content, so we should fit in just fine on Instagram and all the other platforms. So tonight what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at a few images that I shot a while back. And what I do a lot of times, guys, is that I kind of look back at things that I have done, years ago, months ago, whatever the case it may be, and I look to determine with my growth how I would have approached that shoot today, lighting wise, how I would approach the post-editing stages, things like that. So I suggest that, for all of you guys, especially starting out, archive your shots and look at them, at a later date, maybe a year or 2, 3 years down the road, and then go back and look at those images and, look at the difference between what you shot then versus what you're creating now. And then, to make it really interesting, is to approach it from the perspective that, maybe this image would have been submitted to you by someone else, and now you have to retouch this image or something along that line. So it gives you, some place to work from. You'll always have a lot of content because if you're continually shooting, like I was, especially during all the way up until 2020, you'll have a lot to work with. So you can just go in and pick from those old images and start to reevaluate, what the models did on that day, what the makeup artist did, how you set up your lighting, the way you approach the images, capturing the images, things like that. So there's a lot that can be learned, by just looking back sometimes on things that you've done in the past. Now, some of these are overexposed because originally I brought these into Capture One, and then by bringing them straight over to Photoshop, to a Lightroom, it looks like it has affected the white balance and the exposure, but it's no big deal. It's in Lightroom, so I can easily adjust those. The model was having fun, so that's all that mattered. We got all the images that we were looking for. Some of them were really silly, but, at the end of the day, we captured exactly what we had intended on capturing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through, wow, that one's really overexposed. I'm going to go through these and see what I can find that I may want to re-edit. We went through a number of wardrobe changes. Most of these are just, casual wear. Then we went to a couple of small dresses. We played with those. This was more a test, but she was a paid client though. And she also wanted to do something boudoir, and I think that was for her significant other. So we did do some boudoir, more glamour, style shots. Let's go through these. Most of these came out really nice. I mean, her hair was all over the place, but that's to be expected. You know, we discussed she wanted kind of that unkept, you know, bed hair, you know, look. And, you know, a lot of times these models will come in with a bunch of images they found on either someone else's website or on Google or something, or from a magazine, and they have an idea of what they want to try and capture. But you just got to roll with it. So let's go through. And I mean, you know, some of these would probably be a good candidate. You know, a little skin touch up. A couple of things we could do with these. Then we took some in this another part of our studio, which is more like a you know, we call it the shower area, but the shower never worked. It's just, you know, it just looks like a shower. And we took some out in the hallway near my studio door. Yeah, so we had a bunch of different poses. Now, every pose doesn't work for every model, because sometimes they have a tendency to over exaggerate the pose, and then that can create some problems, you know, with, you know, a lot of lines around the neck and the distortion of the body and things like that. But, you know, if you play with them long enough, you'll find one, you know, that is just ideal, you know, for what you want to capture and present. You know, like I said, some of these, you know, they kind of go over the top. And you can kind of tell a lot of times when it's a new model, because they're posing, their muscle control isn't quite there yet. They have the skills and they're acquiring those skills, you know, and that's a great thing. But they can't visualize themselves without seeing themselves in a mirror or something like that. So they don't really know where their eyes are versus, you know, their chin in relation to their shoulders, or, you know, something like that. But a lot of times we can fix some of that, you know, when it comes to a little bit of liquefying here and there, and, you know, a few little adjustments, because we know what they were trying to achieve. And I love this room because you get such nice reflections off of these tiles. If you see here, you can see her face reflected right here in the tiles. But that's about as far as the tiles went, was that little area right there. But, you know, let's just work with this one, you know. I mean, like I said, there's a few others. We'll come back to these at a later date. But for now, let's just go ahead and open this in Photoshop. And let's see what we can get into. Let me make sure. Okay. So as I go in here and I start to look at this one, I can see, of course, there's a lot of flyaway hairs. There's some little imperfections on the face. If I was going to go do a full retouch, you know, there are some issues with the nails. You know, there may be some, you know, skin things that you can take care of. But a lot of these things, you know, depending on the size of the image, you know, no one would ever see. So if you were really looking at this the way someone would see this on, say, Instagram or on a website, it wouldn't be any larger than possibly that, you know. But I think most of you guys already know that. So let's just get right into it and see what we can come up with. So I'm just going to duplicate this layer. And like always, I always forget to turn this tablet on. So I have the Wacom tablet that you guys saw me unbox a couple of videos ago. And I've been talking to Wacom back and forth via email quite a bit. And, you know, they keep telling me to reinstall the drivers, but I'm pretty sure it is a issue with the beta software that I'm running. I have chosen to return this tablet, and I'm going to replace it with the Pro version of the Small, because I still want to keep a very small, you know, footprint when it comes to you know, getting out, especially like for my on location shoots and things like that. I want something really, really small that can fit easily in my backpack. And it's not going to be an issue when I'm traveling, even if it's just locally around town, you know, because a lot of times I'm going in and I'm doing these shoots, and I know to some degree, you know, I'll do some retouching. I mean, 99% of the time I'm not going to do, you know, a full retouch there on location, but I like having the freedom that I could just go in and do something really simple and, you know, clean up one of the images, especially when I'm working with new clients. That's just a part of my workflow. You know, I like to be able to show them exactly how I envision the final product looking, you know, once we're through with the shoot and everything. Plus, if I see issues that are, you know, starting to present themselves, like with makeup or the hair or the outfit or something like that, and it's something that's going to be very, very difficult to correct, you know, we can correct it there on the spot. And then that's one less thing that I'll have to worry about for post. And most likely that'll also help save, you know, the client some money, because I'm not going to spend, you know, an hour or so working on one image that we could have just fixed by just addressing it, you know, during the shoot. So always keep your clients in mind when it comes to things like that. But you also want to be fair, but you got to be realistic, because our time is money as well. So, you know, whatever editing you offer with your packages, you know, that's solely up to you. But at the same time, don't give your services away. And I see so many young photographers, new photographers, they do that so often. They give away so much of their time because they're just so excited, you know, to have a client at all. But the problem with it is, it's just like, you don't want to become known as, you know, the budget photographer or the budget videographer for weddings or corporate events or whatever it's going to be. You know, you want to get paid what you're worth, because 99% of the time they're going to pay somebody, you know, a fair rate for those services. And then, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, sometimes you can give people a discount, and I'm all for that. But it really just depends on how much of a discount you're giving them and how much you're going to benefit from it as well. You know, if it's a repeat customer, you know, you can work out deals with them, you know, where you're giving them, you know, somewhat of a discount, or maybe more images instead of a lower rate. You know, offer more of your product than lowering your rate. At least that's what I do. So there's not really a lot to do here. I mean, her eyes are okay. There is some hairs in her eyes, so I probably should just let's see if we can get most of those. And see, when you have this much hair in the eyes, it can be just a pain in the butt. So you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. But, you know, one of the advantages, if you guys, you know, when you can afford a tablet, you know, make the investment, because it definitely will speed up your workflow. Once you get your pressure control, you know, you understand how you want your pen pressure to be, it will definitely speed up your workflow. So like some of these little hairs, I don't want them in the eyes. I mean, most of these I'll probably get a lot of them when I do the eye whitening. But since I'm already doing the touch up, this is probably a good time to, you know, get in there and try and knock out some of these. And the more you use your tablet, you know, the better your hand-eye coordination will become, you know, over time. You know, I see some guys will, you know, tell in their videos that it'll take you weeks to acquire this skill set. I don't think that's true. Now, I may have an advantage because, you know, I use a Note phone, and I've used one like forever, you know, since I think like the Note 2 came out or something like that. So I've always had a phone with some type of stylus that I use for, you know, selecting things. And if you know anything about Samsung products, they're basically using Wacom's technology, for their pens or their stylus. So in a lot of ways, if you have one of those products, you're already somewhat familiar with Wacom's technology. So it would probably help you speed up your learning curve, I would think. And there's another. And like I said, in one of the other videos, I bought a tablet before, and I just never really got into it. And I think a lot of that might have been from the fact that, the Mac I was using back in the day, was underpowered to start with, so when you, bring in another device that also uses up a lot of the system resources, and it will slow you down, you'll get a little discouraged from that and say, no, this is not for me, But I could have probably given it more time, to figure out if it could have been something that would have worked with my workflow. But I just got so used to doing things the way I do them. And I think that's one of our problems as photographers, our creators. We get so set in our ways that, we don't really embrace quick new technology that can probably benefit us, so much. But I'm not gonna say we're afraid of it, because we're probably not afraid of it. We're just very hesitant when it comes to new technology. But we'll go crazy and buy, a $4,000 lens like it's no big deal. But we won't buy a $400 tablet that can speed up our workflow, But it is what it is. All right, so I think that's close enough for those little close-up touch-ups. I can always go back in if I see something else that I think I want to address here. So I'm going to go ahead and start my retouching. So first thing I'm going to do here is run my frequency separation. And this is a 16-bit image. So resolution is pretty high on this image, so I'm going to probably bring this up to about maybe 10, close to 10. No, that's still too high. Maybe, yeah. Let's go with 8, 9. All right. So I still want my helper layer. So I don't know if you guys have been really spending a lot of time here on YouTube, over the last year or so. Yeah, we had a lot of free time, didn't we, guys? Over the last year. But one of the things that I started really checking out is YouTube Prime features or whatever it is. And I get it free for right now because I own a Samsung phone. And it's like one of the free services that you get for a couple of months. I don't know if I would, like all the other services that I pay for, YouTube would be something I would continue watching. But there's been a couple of really good shows that I've found on here. I was amazed that it would, hold my attention as well as some of the paid platforms that I've been on. So I don't know if you guys are watching any of those shows on here on YouTube. If you are, just leave them in the comments. I don't know, it may be something I've already watched or, something that I might be interested in watching in the future. Also, if you're using a tablet, especially if it's not a Wacom tablet, share it with everyone. What exactly are you using? And, why did you choose that specific tablet? Because a lot of the new tablets that are coming out that I keep seeing over and over and over again, they're not Wacom tablets, and they seem to be very, very good. Okay, for some reason, let's get in there. There we go. But yeah, I looked at so many different tablets, over the last few months. Well, we're going to say weeks, trying to determine, exactly which of the tablets I think is going to be better for me. I do believe that a lot of the tablets I've seen here recently may be a better bargain than Wacom, for the amount that you're spending. Now, and I understand, the Wacom tablets have a really good warranty, and They last a long time. There's no doubt about that. But it looks to me that quite a few of the newer companies that have come out are producing a product just as nice and just as professional as what Wacom is producing. So it just really depends on, you know, what it is you want from your tablet, if that's, you know, the direction that you want to go. You know, I looked at Helion and X-Pen, I think it's called, and a few others. You know, I keep gravitating back to Wacom, but I'm not married to it, so I'm going to give this Pro version a try, and if it works, great. If it don't, well, you know, it'll be going back to Amazon, and I'll pick something else. So, I mean, that is one cool thing about, you know, ordering from a company like Amazon. But I'm going to tell you something funny. I actually found one that is renewed by Amazon, and I decided to order that one. I said, okay, no problem, I'll order that. You know, that's a good deal for the price. And then I had been looking at it. I looked at it also on Best Buy. And it's so funny to me. Now, all of a sudden, on Best Buy, the price has dropped right to the amount that I paid for the renewed one for a new version of the same size tablet. I don't know if that's just a part of their algorithm, or, you know, those prices are set based on, you know, something that you may have searched for. I have no idea. I just you know, always find it kind of funny when, you know, you look for something online and you Google something, then all of a sudden, you know, because of the algorithm and because of their spyware, you're constantly seeing adverts for those products everywhere you look. But that's just along the lines of how things go. All right, let's see how far we've gotten with this. Turn the texture back on. Could probably blend that a little bit better. Let's bring the wet down a little bit. I've been trying some different settings, and some work really well for some images, and then some are just major overkill for others. So it just depends. You know, when you're adjusting with your mixer brush, you know, you start off with your basic settings, and then you'll learn over time if there's an easier or faster way, you know, to get the same result. If you're not going to go in and do a really, you know, deep dive into dodging and burning or something like that, where you're just trying to get a certain look and get that look as quick as possible, you know, especially if you're dealing with multiple images, you know, that's an issue. Let's turn that color, let's turn the black and white off. And let's zoom out. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, you just got to be careful, especially with the mixer brush. If your settings are too high, you'll wind up kind of distorting the body a little bit. But the advantage is I can always go back in here and still do some global dodging and burning, and bring back some of those effects, because I don't want to lose her abs or, you know, any of the muscle density or whatever it is. I just want to clean the color up in the skin. Just, you know, get a little bit more harmony in that. So there we go. That looks good to me. So let's turn it off. Back on. Yeah, that'll work. So what shall we do next? Let's go in and look at her eyes. Her eyes are pretty white, so I don't really see a lot that we could do there. I probably would want to soften her skin just a little bit more in the texture. So there's a number of different ways we could go about doing that. You know, the easy way is just to blur the skin, you know, possibly with selection mask. But I think what I'm going to do here is just create a stamp layer. And I'm pretty sure I have a skin softening. Actually, you know what? Let's just use one of the panels. So Retouch Pro has a good action for skin softening. You just got to be careful with it because it can be, you know, overkill. So we're just going to run that easy action and give that a few seconds to render. But yeah, guys, like I said, you know, if you are checking out some of these shows on YouTube, especially if you're looking at what is it called, Premium, yeah, Premium. You'll find some interesting ones. I can't think of the names of them off the top of my head, but I'll probably put them in the description below, so you guys can check out some of those if you want to, you know, give them a shot. But I was really, you know, excited for quite a few of the shows. You know, there's some sci-fi there. There's some a lot of comedy. You know, you can find a lot of good comedy stuff there. Okay, so we have our layer mask here, and our foreground color is white. So we're just going to grab our soft round brush. Let's make sure it's a soft round brush, and then we're just going to paint over her skin. Now that's at 100%. I'm just going to leave it at 100% until I paint over it, and then I'll go back in and adjust it. So right now I just want to soften her skin just a little bit. I really don't want to lose a lot of the texture, but there's still a little bit of freckling and, you know, different colors, especially when you're working with people of color. For those of us that are a person of color, you know, we're not one color. So that just is what it is. And usually when I use something like this, I don't use it over the whole body. I'll just look for areas that I really want to soften just a little bit, and then I'll just go in and just soften those areas with this action instead of just putting it everywhere. You know, actually, let me close this panel. And let's zoom out. So I just want to apply it just like on her face here. Maybe a little right around here. I saw some areas on her hip. And that should do it. Elbow. All right. So we're still sticking with that look that she had in mind. You know, kind of the wild hair. Let's get in there and get maybe just a little bit more. And like I said, we can always still bring the opacity down. So first we're just going to paint it in, you know, thick. And then we'll bring the opacity down to maybe about 50 or 60, just so it kind of blends in. So the next thing I'd want to do is want to bring back some dimension, you know, to the image itself, you know, so that's a good start. So let's just go ahead and we could just flatten this image because I don't think there's anything else I'm going to do in there. So let's just flatten the image and then duplicate it, Command J, and let's see what soft light will give us. So that gives us like a really rich warm tone, but evidently that's way too much. So we're going to bring that down to about maybe 20%, just to warm it up a little bit. Yeah, it makes things pop. So then from there, I would still want to go and do like a global dodge and burn. And where's my action for that? I really need to find a way to organize these actions a little bit better. So we can see here with this dodge and burn action that I just ran, we have a helper layer also, so we could turn that on and off. But it shows us exactly where the highlights and the shadows are. So we know where to dodge and we know where to burn. So if we start off with, say, our burn, and grab our brush, and let's bring the flow down to about 3%. And we just want to just lightly just kiss the skin, certain areas, right there, here on the cheek, touch on the chin, right here where a tattoo is, just a little bit. And then we can jump over here to our burn. We're just, kind of contouring. That's all we're doing here. Yeah, there we go. So let's turn the helper off. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't know how well this translates to YouTube, but it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna turn that all off right there real quick and back on. All right, so what do we got left? The only thing we got left really is to determine, our color grade. So usually what I would choose is just a lookup, just pick a LUT, something that works with her skin tone. Let's see. I got a couple of them in here that might work. Let's try this one. No, I'm not liking that at all. No, I really want something a little bit warmer than that. I'm just still amazed to this day that Photoshop still doesn't have an easy way for us to see what the LUT's going to do before you apply it. That's always been so annoying to me. So let's getting back to her normal skin tone, maybe close to it. So let's turn that off. See how bright she is there? And then back on. And then we can still bring that down some. We can get kind of like a harmony, a mixture between the two. Just so we get some of that, the highlights and shadows to still pop. Yeah, I like that. Okay, that works. So that was a really simple, easy type of retouch. I didn't do anything with her hair or any liquefying or anything like that to, change the shape of her body. I just really wanted to just clean the skin up a little bit there, and especially around the eyes and the face where there's an excessive amount of flyaway hairs and things like that. So with that, from that perspective, I'm happy. So that works out. I mean, yeah, there's a ton of things that we could do going forward. You could go in and liquefy the body. You could adjust different things. You could adjust her jawline if you wanted to. The shoulder seems a little awkward. You could go in and fix that. So, easily, let's just do that. So let's just jump here and liquefy real quick. And we're going to just gently push her shoulder down just a little bit. And then we can still arch the back just a touch. Okay, we don't want to do too much. So yeah, that looks good. So I think that's a win. Let me check one more thing. Yeah. And then, like I said, there's, a gazillion different plugins and filters and things that you could do. But the problem with it is, or you have to keep in mind, is what you do to one, you may have to do to all. So if you're creating a set of images, before you get too carried away working on one, you got to accept the fact that, okay, if I do this to this one image, but I got 5 others in that set, I need to make them look identical to this. So another way you may want to approach this is utilizing, some of the batch features, because some of these programs do have, these plugins have batch capabilities. But when it comes to the skin softening and stuff like that, that kind of stuff you're going to be doing, step by step. Hey guys, let me let this dog out real quick and I'll be right back. So hold on for a second. All right, I'm back. So I think we're almost at the end of this quick edit. Like I said, there's not a lot more we can do to this image. Well, I mean, let's be realistic. There's a ton we could do, but there's not a lot that I want to do. You know, I could go in and like do some dodging and burning on these tiles. Crop this a little bit better just to frame it, you know, for where the image is itself. So, you know, something like that. Yep, that's a win. So you'll probably see something or a version of this on Instagram a little bit later. So if you guys are not already following me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, do so, because I will be editing more of these images from this shoot. So if you guys want to watch and chat, you know, feel free to leave a comment, and I will catch you guys probably in about a day or so. I'll be live again, but I'll be posting content, you know, my other social medias, like I said, on Facebook and Instagram. Few things I'll probably still do on Twitch, but maybe not so frequent. Like I said, I'm going to be spending most of my time here on YouTube because I just feel like this is more conducive to us as creators, photographers, filmmakers, things like that. The platform is just better for us. All right, guys. So I'm going to bring this live to an end. Hopefully you guys will enjoy watching this video, or you did enjoy it and you learned something or just got some entertainment from it or something like that. But if you guys have any ideas of things that you'd want to see on this channel, please leave it down in the comments. I'll do my best to try and make that happen. But until then, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, take care of your loved ones, and get out there and create something amazing. I will catch you guys in the next live. Until then, peace. I'm out.